The stores are all calling me up. How come you're not shipping? I go, shipping? I don't have an order. What are you talking about? I used to lug a TV with the commercial and the strollers and the cribs. I literally did not want to make another phone call to another boy because I couldn't take the rejection anymore. We became the #1 crib company in the world.
Wow.
I got in there Monday morning and we started to sell Toys R Us. So my worst nightmare turned into the best thing that ever happened to Delta. Several of them would say, he's a father I never had. That's one of the reasons why my father's my hero.
I've had a lot of high-achieving guests on Momentum, but by far the hardest thing I've had to do was get a hold of Joey Shami. Let me tell you, every time I call Joey, he's busy. He's either at a fundraiser, volunteering, hanging out with Mayor Eric Adams, starting a new project at the Safari Community Center, giving away cribs to military families, donating millions of dollars through his company, or advocating for our brothers and sisters in Israel. I mean, I can go on forever. Joey is constantly in motion, making an impact wherever he goes, and that's exactly who he is. He's a man who doesn't just talk about making a difference, but he actually does it day in and day out. Joey is the co-president of Delta Children, one of the world's top brands and leading manufacturer of baby and children's furniture, cribs, and strollers. In this episode, we dive into the story of Delta, Joey's family's journey in business, and the incredible ways they've shaped the industry while giving back on a massive, massive scale. We discuss how Delta revolutionized baby furniture safety, expanded into major retailers like Walmart and Toys R Us, and built a legacy of philanthropy, donating cribs to thousands of military families, supporting disaster relief efforts, and funding countless community initiatives. By the way, I'm Victor Brack, and Momentum is where I dive deep with exceptional leaders to uncover the key decisions, defining moments, and lessons that propel them to success, and how those insights can inspire your journey forward. Oh, and stick around until the end for an exclusive tour of Delta's testing facilities, where Joey shows us around the top-notch equipment they use to ensure the safety of their cribs, strollers, and furniture. This part was actually super cool. I mean, when you're using a product, you don't realize the hundreds and thousands of hours of testing that goes on to make sure the product is safe and durable. It's incredible. But anyways, if you're interested in building a business from the ground up, breaking into major retailers, or learning how to lead with integrity, or using your success to make a real, true impact and touch hundreds or thousands of lives, you're going to love this episode. Enjoy. Joey Shami, welcome to Momentum.
Thank you. A pleasure to be with you today and to be able to share some of my story and try and help inspire your generation.
That's the goal. That's the goal. You finally got. I was gonna say I finally got you here, but you finally got me to your showroom.
Correct.
Beautiful, by the way.
I'm very proud of the showroom. I love it. It's like my heaven when I'm in here and I bring a customer, a licensor, the bank. I get inspired and I beat my chest and I show off the products that we make, and they love it. And
amazing. I love it, and it's beautiful, and we're going to do a quick tour afterwards. You know,
yes.
we'll keep it in the episode because I think people should see this. So much to unpack with you and your story and business, but, you know, really I want to focus, like put an extra focus on your giving back, your involvement in initiatives in the community, outside of the community. So let's just start off. Joey Shami, you're the president of Delta. And
co-president
with
Sam.
Delta. You guys are a good duo. So tell us, give us a quick rundown. Who are you? What do you do? When did your father start the business? Give me the history.
Wow, that's a long history. So the company was started by my parents. So my father, very funny, he tells the story one time I think I had like the Toys R Us president, I forgot who it was, in the office, and he was up there in age, and they go, Mr. Shami, how did you start the business? He goes, because I was a cheapskate, I started the business. I look at him, cheapskate. Okay, where's he going now? So he says, I had a little children's wear store, kiddie shop on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. My wife is pregnant, expecting our first child. And of course, I don't want to buy it retail. I want to buy it wholesale. So I go to the Edison Crib Company. I had a showroom on One Park Avenue. And I say, I want to buy a crib. They say, you have to buy a dozen. We don't sell one crib. He says, okay. He buys a dozen. One for Sammy. 11 went into the store.
That's
and
so
11 cribs sold, and sold well.
Wow.
And he bought more. And then he opened up a whole department in his basement of the store for juvenile furniture. So that's how we got into the. And by the way, Edison Crib Company was Thomas Edison made cribs at one point in his life. His factory started there. So you may talk about pivoting in businesses.
Yeah.
He was making Victrolas out of wood, and he decided there was no business there. He pivoted to cribs.
That's so
okay.
interesting.
So fast forward, my father decides he wants to be in the wholesale business. He was an inventor. He had over, in the end, he had over 50 patents to his name. He was just always coming up with new ideas. He gets on a plane and he heads to Asia, to Taiwan at the time. And they were not making strollers. They were not making any of this stuff. And he gets a metal factory to bend the metal. He wanted to make strollers at the time. That was his idea. Metal factory to bend the metal. He gets a fabric company to make the seats, and he gets a wheel company to make the plastic wheels. And they all get shipped in to New York. And in the back of one of his stores, he had retail stores, we would package them.
Huh.
So I was 13 years old at the time, maybe, and I was opening boxes, putting 111, this is my summer, flipping the boxes over, sealing them, and that's how we were shipping them out. And my father was actually, the old timers of Taiwan would say he was the founder or the father of the stroller business in Taiwan.
Really?
He got them to make the first time for them to make strollers and all that.
Oh, wow. And you guys had a funny commercial with the strollers.
So fast forward years later, it was always like a secondary business. He had the retail, it was a secondary business for him. And he comes up with this idea for the Buggy Stroller, the first fast folding stroller that was a carriage and a folded flat.
They're all over nowadays.
It was groundbreaking,
Really?
in the industry. And he turns around. Now I'm in the business at the time, and he says, "Let's put it on TV. This is fantastic." I'm like, "Dad, what are you talking about? Like, we weren't even a $2 million company at the time. The retail was our main business. We didn't have the money to do this." He says, no, I have a great idea. Let's put it on TV. Okay. He goes down and produces his own commercial. Here comes Celie, my sister Celie, with her new Buggy Stroller. Look how easily it opens. Look how it folds, so forth. And then I was newly married. He meets Adrian, my wife, at the bus stop. She's wheeling a Headstrom stroller, which Headstrom was the #1 stroller company in the world. There wasn't even a #2 around. They were it. Celie picks the baby up with one hand, gets on the bus with the other hand because it just snaps closed. And Adrian picks the baby up. You need 2 hands to fold the stroller, the big clunky stroller. She doesn't do. She puts the baby on the grass. It's folding the stroller. The baby's crawling up the grass. The bus pulls out, and there's a little bit of fume. And we say, "Don't get left in the dust, girls. Buy a Buggy today."
That's good. Do the
Boom.
comparison.
I'm in my apartment. I'm paying $250 rent. The commercial was $500. It was on Channel 5. I Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy, those kind of old-time shows. Commercial comes and goes. 30 seconds. I just spent $500. I said, my father's out of his mind. What is he doing? $500. Who the hell's watching this commercial at this time? Get to the office, which, if you saw where our office was and what it was in Bedford-Stuyvesant, a little junky little shack type of place. And all of a sudden the stores are calling me up. They're saying, "Joey, everyone's coming in the store. They want to buy the stroller. You get on the bus. They want the stroller." I'm like, holy cow. Next thing you know, we're on fire.
All from the commercial.
All from the commercial. And the fact that the stroller was a great stroller.
Yeah, right.
A great invention. And then all of a sudden I get a call from the Toys R Us #2 person. He starts screaming. Those days, it was this old Ashkenaz type company. The founder, Charles Lazarus, and all. Anyway, he starts screaming at me. He said, "The stores are all calling me up. How come you're not shipping?" I go, "Shipping? I don't have an order. What are you talking about?" He go, "What do you mean you don't have an order?" I said, "I don't have an order. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even sell them at the time. He says, get in here Monday morning. The buyer happened to be on vacation. The guy in there Monday morning, and we started to sell Toys R Us.
Wow.
So that was our big start and our big role. We grew from like a $2 million company to a $12 million company overnight because of that stroller and the commercial and all.
Wow.
And then what happens? I see my father, and now I think I was having an ulcer because we couldn't get enough goods. We were shipping. We were small. We were operating out of this tiny little warehouse. And everything, as they were coming in, they were going out. We would have a container meeting the trucks. We wouldn't even bring them into the office, into the warehouse. Okay. So I said, my father's working on something else. I said, what are you doing, Dad? He said, I'm working on cribs. I have a great idea to make the safest crib in the world. I said, Dad, we're not in the crib business. We're in the stroller business. No, Joey, I'm telling you, this crib is going to be phenomenal. Okay. Leave me alone, whatever you want to tell me. He says to me, he said, very key. He said, we didn't patent the stroller. Everyone is overseas copying us. We're not going to, the next big thing is going to be the cribs.
And your father was an inventor.
My father was an inventor.
Right?
So he invented a crib that went together easier, no tools, no screws, no hammer, no screwdriver, zero, that snapped together. And you and I together could stand on that crib and jump up and down. It would be stronger than any other crib out there. So it was safer and easier to do.
Revolutionary at this point.
Revolutionary. Nothing ever like that in the market. And he also does a commercial for that one also. You can, both of them are all the commercials are online.
We'll put them in the description.
Yeah. Oh, you put the, okay.
Yeah, people can watch them.
Fantastic. So I would take the crib with by the way, I used to lug a TV with the commercial and the strollers, and the cribs, and you had to see the stuff that I used to have to carry with me to go see a customer. But I would go to a customer, and I'd come with the whole crib. Usually no one goes with the whole crib. And the guy would look at me and he said, I don't have time for you to put together this crib to me. You lucky you got an appointment. Just show me a picture. What do you got? What's the price? I go, no, just give me 1 minute, and I'll put this crib together. He goes, what? 1 minute. And I would put together the crib in 1 minute. And then I would say, come stand on the crib with me. I would take down the side wheels. Come stand on the crib with me. And they'd look at me and say, are you crazy? And I'd say, this is the easiest crib in the world to assemble. This is the safest crib out there. We have revolutionized the market.
Wow.
And then to top it off, we took the Italian styles from Lewis of London and Bellini, all these cribs that were selling for over $1,000, made in Italy. So my father took that same $1,000 crib and made it in Taiwan with our assembly, so it was safer, and they were selling for $150 to $200. We broke open the whole market across the board, changed the scope of everything to do with a crib.
Incredible.
Affordability, safety, etc. We were even written up in Consumer Reports. We were written up in a few different places as the safest crib, best stroller, things like that. And we grew.
How big was the company at that point?
I would say 12 to 20 million at the time originally.
And how old are you?
The stroller, I would be, when I was first year I was married, so I would be 24, 25.
Got
with the stroller, that first stroller. And then 2 years later, when my son was born, we had the crib, so that would be about 27 that the crib came out.
Was it ever a consideration for you to go out on your own as opposed to going into the family business, or it was pretty much automatic for you?
So originally, I was in school. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I loved school, and I loved continuing to learn. My father at that time was not sure where he was going. The retail was okay. The wholesale was not great. And he said, listen, he said, I could use you. We could make something of this wholesale business, or we'll close it up and we'll just open up more retail stores. And so I said, okay. So I did some night school at the same time, but eventually I realized that I had to devote full time to it. I never had a consideration for being out on my own. My father always encouraged Sammy and I to be partners in life. and we were always together, always shared everything, and no, I always wanted to be my brother's partner, and continue to be his partner, and I love it.
Beautiful.
No one's going to have your back more than your family.
That's true. That's true. Great. It's a great message.
Listen, nobody's going to have your back like your family. When I had my health challenges, Sammy was there. Sammy picked up the slack and took care of everything, and all, without saying a word, without mentioning anything.
Yeah.
So I love my brother. I thank him for all that he's done for me, for the company, as a partner, and being the best partner you could ever have in life.
At what point did you and your brother take over the company? Maybe take me through that. How old were you? How did it feel? I mean, at this point, the company's established. It's one of the key players globally, in the children's product space. How did that feel for you?
So my father always set us up to run the company,
right,
as time went on. But at the same time, my father never retired, and all. And he was always a vital asset to the company, even when we took over the ownership of the company, and it just seemed to be a natural progression,
right,
and into it. I head up the sales, marketing, and that aspect of the company, and Sammy heads up with the production, the safety, and back office type stuff on that. He's phenomenal at that. He's phenomenal at detail, and he is I can almost say the world-renowned expert on safety when it comes to cribs, bassinets, strollers, things like that. He is the chairperson of the Government Safety Committee, ASTM Safety Committee on cribs.
Really?
He lives and breathes that manual. He'll quote you pasuks from the safety brochures,
right,
and it could be a Walmart or a Target or someone that from their safeties will call Sammy up to say, "Can you explain to us what this or that law or safety feature is all about," and all that. So that's his aspect of it, and I'm pretty good at relationships. So
yeah.
That's my aspect of it. I like developing relationships. I love people. I love meeting people. I love talking to them and getting to know them better. I love my product line. When I get passionate about a product or about something that we're doing, I just go at it. And all.
If you look back at a meeting that you had 20, 30 years ago in business and a business meeting that you'll have today, what are some differences you see in how you conduct yourself?
So 20 and 30 years ago, the way relationships and the way you sold a product is very different than the way you sell a product today. You really need to have a different set of marketing. You need to know what social media is happening
sure.
on it, and how you're going to expand that social media, how you're going to get the message out, what mommy bloggers are going to do. So in that aspect, today, my daughter Lorraine heads up our social media, our marketing, and so forth. And she's an expert at that. And she has interns that work with her, and all day long they're on the phone, on emails, so forth, with these bloggers and getting our message out. So when I go to a Target meeting or a Walmart meeting or Amazon meeting, she's the best person to sell the company and why they should buy Delta, because of who we are in the social media aspect. Years ago, there was no such thing as that kind of social media. And also years ago, you were fighting for space on a shelf. Whether it be Walmart or Target or Kmart or Sears, all those guys that were out of business, they had room for 3 or 4 strollers. And you're fighting for it to be one of those 3 or 4. Or for 6, it was one of those 6, whatever it may be. Today, you go online and there's 1,000 available.
So you're sitting in a business meeting with Target, let's
Okay.
say. How do you convince them to be one of the strollers that why you guys should be one of the strollers that they carry? Is it just the product? Is it your passion? Is it your personality? Is it a combination, the technical aspect?
There's definitely a combination of that. First of all, they have to want to do business with you.
Sure.
I know. I'm going to say that first, even before the product, and the reputation of Delta as being a honest, reputable, safe, it could go on company precedes everything, and that's what Sammy and I and everyone in the company have built over the years. We're known as a company that's devoted to safety. We're known as a company that's devoted to giving back charity-wise. Every one of my customers knows that Delta gives back more than any other company in our industry. So those are all aspects that help sell who we are and why they want to do business with us. Now, of course, I have to have the best product. I have to have the right price. I have to have the right marketing behind it. So I have to sell all those aspects to it at the same time, and also ability to produce it, which we have, and ability to finance it, which thank God we have as well. And they know that they can trust us. So trust is a key factor. So I would say that to anybody when you're building a company, or you are a salesman, or you are in any business that you're in. Did you develop the trust factor for your clients, your customers, whoever, your co-workers, and so forth? Are you a trustworthy individual? What is your brand? What is your personal brand? What are you known for? Do people, when they see you, do they have a good feeling about you? Do you give them a smile? Do you talk to them? Do you care about them? Or are you a selfish type of individual? So your branding of who you are is also a very big factor for your success in life. And that starts off from your high school days, and before that. If you're the guy that cheats on the basketball court, that reputation is going to stay with you. When someone comes to me for a job or something, and maybe they were a contemporary of one of my kids, and I ask them, what's that kid like? I can never trust him. Or what a great guy that guy is. He's the one everybody loves. He's the one that runs to help everybody else. He's the one that will, if you're doing homework, if you're studying for a test, he's going to help you out. So I'm going to go way back. Who are you? What do you represent? What do people think about you? Give everybody a smile. Treat everybody with respect. Do all those kind of things. So you asked me about how do I sell a customer? I went so far to high school. But that is who you become.
As an 18-year-old who hasn't gotten into business yet, I think what I find so interesting about that is that you have to have the technical aspects of your brand and your product down pat. You like you mentioned, you have to have that. But you said even like a prelude, a precursor to that would be the soft parts of the soft skills of your personal brand. You know, so like you said, like trustworthiness and attitude. I find that very interesting.
Yes, my job on my side of the business was to make the sale, was to gain the trust, was to go out to all these retailers, whether it be the smallest guy who had a single store on Graham Avenue in Brooklyn, or the Toys R Us's and the Walmarts and Kmart's and so forth at the time. I had to sell my product, but I had to sell myself also at the time, because they could buy from a lot of other companies. At the same time, my brother and father, who were on the production side, had to sell Delta to our suppliers overseas, and had to develop a trust factor with our suppliers overseas, that they would invest in new molds, new things to be able to produce them and all. So everything, wherever you're going, you're selling your personality too at the same time. And I'll go a step further about selling. I marketed Delta as the family company, which is what it is. And I played that very strongly. My mother and father worked together in the business. My mother went to all the shows. My mother went overseas with my father, so forth. Adrienne came to almost all the shows, although she was pregnant and she couldn't come. She was at every single one of the shows. She came with me for dinner or lunch with the buyers. We were a team, and the industry, till today, always knew us as a team. And the buyers loved, especially the women buyers, loved spending time with Adrian. Sharp, young, dressed well, personable, and we would go. We just were always together at the shows. So my mother now, this is a funny aspect. My mother at first started to make, when she was coming to the shows, she would bring kosher food, make kosher food, do things for us. So we would have our Friday night, that we'd have our meals during the show. And then there were a lot of Syrians that started getting into the general business. The show started to expand. And she was making food for everybody. She was feeding the whole Syrian, Jewish, non-Syrian community at the show. Then that expanded to become, we built a whole area that was a lunchroom area for everybody to come eat. And before you knew it, Walmart, Toys R Us, Walmart actually had a payout too, and get a receipt. Walmart, Kmart, Toys R Us, you name every single retailer was coming in to have lunch, which was mostly homemade stuff or somewhat homemade stuff that my mother made, and became the place to go. And we made friends with the show people that run the show to allow us to bring in our own food, because otherwise you were buying that junk food that's offered by a typical show place. They loved us. Again, it was the whole family aspect of it. And everybody, all the boys wanted to have lunch with Adrian.
Huh.
So she would literally have like 3 or 4 lunches lined up.
That's great.
And she'd have slippers for some of the buyers, some of the women buyers that come in and they just chill by us. So you walked into the Delta showroom and you felt you were with your family, and you felt the warmth of the family. You had my mother, my father, you had Adrian, you had my brother, you had Susan came sometimes. My sister Celie came early on in the show also. So that family atmosphere that we portrayed as the company everyone wanted to do business with again. So it was a whole different aspect of marketing.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Can you tell me about a story of something that happened to you maybe earlier on in your business journey that taught you something that stuck with you for, up until today?
The first thing I can tell you, I go back to trusting my father. Our elders have so much knowledge, so much, and he was an entrepreneur that wanted to break down walls and do things differently always. But I can tell you a couple of times I'll tell you one time where I was really down, and how things came back. So I was at one of those lows where every time I called the buyer, I wasn't getting an appointment, I wasn't getting an order, sales were low, things were not so good. And a few months before that, I had met the Toys R Us VP. I was at a show in Germany, and we spent some time together. He told me he's a Giant fan, and okay. So I worked up enough courage, I didn't think, to call this VP at one point and say, hi, Marty, would you like to go to a Giant game together? So he laughed. He says, no, Joe, thank you anyway, appreciate it. He said, but do you have anything you want to sell me? I said, yeah, I have this crib, whatever, I happened to be overstocked in a particular crib, but I knew it was a good item. He said, okay, call the buyer up in a few minutes. Went in, called a few minutes later, I called her up, I started to talk to her, and she said, Marty already came into me, he told me that I should buy the crib from you, what do you got, how much is it, I said, I gave her the details, and it blew out, and we started to grow on that. So I went from being, I literally did not want to make another phone call to another boy because I couldn't take the rejection anymore. But then I made that one phone call and that one opportunity, and it spiraled into being their best crib.
Wow.
And the thing.
Guys, if you're enjoying the episode so far, join us in the mission of spreading the Momentum podcast as large as we can get it. Guys, if this episode is inspiring you so far, please share with a friend, a family member, somebody who you think would be inspired as well. And make sure to stick around because Joe is about to share the story of how his entire business almost went to zero. And he explains exactly what he did to turn that setback into 100x growth. Let's get back into it. Do you think it's just a mentality of take it day by day, just go a little further, keep pushing yourself a little further, take 5 more rejections, 10 more rejections. After that, then, you can take a break. Do you think that's a good mentality? How do you deal with rejection?
So my father one time told me, he said, do not be afraid of anybody. Nobody's better than you. You're not better than them, but nobody's better than you. It's okay. Pick up the phone, and if they say something, it's okay. You'll deal with it and all. But don't be afraid of anybody. Be strong and go for it. That was a low point. It turned into a high point because I did make the phone call.
That's a great lesson.
And all.
Yeah, and it turned into something big.
It turned into something. I learned also that, again, I'm not afraid to approach anybody in any room, at any place, at any time. They're people, just like you. Approach them respectfully and start a conversation.
Can you tell me about the biggest setback in your career? It could be when you were young in business. It could have been last week. And what did that teach you?
The worst nightmare that we ever had was when the industry, they issued basically a recall for all drop side cribs. The government had determined that cribs which had the sides that go up and down were not safe, and basically they went after every single crib company out there. Us being the biggest guy
I'm the safest.
and the safest, it didn't matter because people were leaving their drop sides down. So instead of, even though it was the consumer's fault, it's our fault. It's always our fault in the end. And even though we had the safest crib out there, we had to deal with it. So my worst nightmare ever was that happening. Best thing that ever happened to Delta was the recall. So we established a website, a call-in number. We got Sammy, who was actually the head of the safety committee now, the government safety committee, developed a kit to fix the cribs, and actually he helped other companies because he looked at it as an industry-wide thing that I have to help everybody, not just us. I have to do things for everybody and to establish. So we basically established a name for ourselves, again, as the safest company, the company that cares about everybody. And Walmart, Target, we weren't selling Target at the time, but Walmart, Target, Toys, every company turned around and said to their buyers, only buy from Delta.
Really?
Only buy from Delta. Well, Toys R Us bought from others, but Target, Walmart, all the various other companies all turned around and says, this is the only company we can trust.
Unbelievable.
And so my worst nightmare turned into the best thing that ever happened to Delta. And several of our competitors just closed their doors because when the recall was happening, they didn't want to deal with it. They were afraid of just losing millions of dollars. And so that left the retailers holding the bag for those companies' cribs. They couldn't return them to anybody, and no one was doing this fix-it kit. And again, Sammy led the way, and we turned a nightmare into a dream. And that's when we catapulted into the #1 crib company in the world because of a recall.
Do you think you and Sam share a sort of mindset of not giving up and not closing your doors, even when everybody around you is doing just that? I mean, you pushed through. Why? Why didn't you just pivot into a different product line?
I think we have a very strong mindset, both of us. We know that things can get done. We know that we can figure it out. We have a great team, and I say Sammy and I, but we have a great team of people that we work with every single day. I have 120 people in this building. I have about 15 in Wisconsin in the crib business and about 100 in the mattress business over there. The individuals that we've surrounded ourselves with are all great people who have understand our mindset, understand what Delta's all about. We treat them like family. We care about them. I have employees here that have been working for us for 40 years, and that my father started them from zero to this point. And I'm very proud of what we built, and that helped us get through every single problem that we do. Another aspect, it's funny, if you keep yourself, and I'm talking to someone that has a company and has a financially strong, you can get through every obstacle. So when we had the recall, we were still financially strong enough to weather the storm, as opposed to our competitors who were not, and then went out. At the same time, I can give you several examples where Toys R Us goes out of business. We lost a significant amount of money with them, but our competitors, a couple of competitors, weren't able to sustain themselves after Toys R Us went out of business, and they went out of business.
Oh, wow.
And that put us at an opportune time to buy their business and to take their placements at retailers and so forth. That happened to us during some financial downturns as well, where the competitor was not able to sustain it. So keep yourself financially strong and your head above water. Don't drain your company of money.
Be ready before you need to be ready.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
That's a great lesson. Wow. But that story with the recall?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a story right there.
That's a story in itself.
Yeah.
A nightmare. Again, I repeat, it was a nightmare. It was like I didn't want to go to shul. I didn't want to go out of the house. I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing that could ever happen to me.
Yeah.
And because of the way we handled it, and Sammy developing the fix-it kit for it, at the same time, the way we handled it honestly with all our retailers, we called various mommy bloggers at the time, and we gave them the inside information on it. So now they were advocates for us. It says, okay, Delta's doing this, but they felt that we empowered them because we were open and honest about it.
That's very nice. They're like the modern day journalists.
Yeah.
Nice.
Correct.
You do a lot of mentorship for young people. You're involved in so many community and non-community organizations that, with the mission of helping young people, of reaching
Yes.
out the youth of our, the next generation. Excuse me. You have any actionable tips for young people? What can they start doing today? Somebody like me, 18 years old, even younger. What can I start doing today to put myself ahead for eventual success?
Okay, so I'm going to repeat something I said earlier. One is, who are you? Who is Victor? What will people say about him? What would if someone came to me and said, I have an opportunity to go in business with this guy, Victor? What do you think of him? So develop your brand, develop who you are. Make sure that you are that straight, honest person.
And as you said, that starts from a young age.
It starts from a young age, that your reputation will precede you. And it's going to be very difficult to change your reputation if you started on a negative. It only takes a couple of incidents for you to be known for that negative situation, and you'd have a lot to turn it around. So number one is your branding, who you are, what you are. That branding will help you if you were to come say, oh, I have the greatest new business idea, but I need a partner. I need somebody to finance me. If you went to some of the Syrian men, Sephardic men, our community members, and asked them for a loan or a partnership or something like that, if you have a great reputation, you can have a better chance than if you don't have a reputation.
For sure.
And they will ask your contemporaries about you. See, they understand who you are before they write a check to you or put you in business. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, I am a strong believer that you must have a college education. It's very important to today's day. It's not the days of yesterday where, as I described before, you're just going before buyers and you're selling just your. I almost say the days of Joey chamois sales are over. Now you have to have the spreadsheets and the information and so forth to make things happen, to understand every dynamic, every cross every I, dot every
Cross every T.
cross every T. I'm right. Just see, you got me scared over here. You're overpowering me. No, you got to be able to do the right thing
Right.
and understand the business better than ever. And college education is key, but also broaden your opportunities to be in business. My son Lewis went into finance, and I am so proud of him. He's a hedge fund finance individual. He's very successful, and he went out of the box.
For sure.
And a lot of people are doing that. And that's what you need to look at. What are the other opportunities besides a typical wholesale business?
Yeah, I especially with how the world is changing today and the nature of a family
Yes.
business, it leads me to my next question, which is, for you, joining your family business was, like you said, a natural progression for you. Do you have any advice for people who are struggling to decide, young people who are struggling to decide what industry do they want to get into, but what if I don't like that? What if I'm not enjoying myself? That's always the big question of follow your passion on one side,
Yes.
make money, support your family on the other side, and people really try to find where those meet, but a lot of people have trouble with that.
First of all, I know some people have been going into some businesses that are not as ethical as they should be because they want to make money. Don't do that.
Like you said, reputation.
Reputation. So go in the right business. You do have to make a pretty good living in order to put your kids through yeshiva education, camp, etc. So there's no sidestepping that. That is a big nut to crack, and it's sad to say, but it is. And really, by the way, on a side note, it's up to guys like me to try and help get our yeshiva course down and our other course down and so forth. But we're working on it. But so the advice is that you have to make a living, but you don't want to do something that you're not going to be happy about forever. There are opportunities, and there are ways of also making what you do more enjoyable and all. I originally wasn't, let's say, so happy with my business, but I loved I loved the people that I worked with. I loved getting involved in. I loved what I meant to the industry, and it evolved very much so. I also loved the opportunity it gave me to give back, whether it be in the community or outside the community. So everything worked hand in hand, and the position that I was able to establish in the industry.
Yeah.
But I think the individuals should look strongly at what the family business is, but also look to try and do something different. Again, it depends on the economics.
I think it's worth noting that you weren't necessarily passionate about cribs and strollers and baby products, but you're
Yes.
passionate about your team, about leading the industry standards for safety,
Yes.
about selling Walmart and figuring out how to craft the best pitch. I think that's really where the passion lies. So people think that you have to be passionate about what you're not. I want to rephrase, because obviously you have to be passionate about what you're selling, but people think you have to, if you're selling cosmetics or cribs or T-shirts to
Correct.
Walmart, you have to be passionate about T-shirts to Walmart. I don't think that's the key.
So, 1,000% what you just said is right on key. You can find your passion in any one of the products, but you could also find your passion in the people that you're selling to, and the relationships that you build, and what those things that go on. So I loved meeting and befriending the buyers and the licensors and so forth. I still love till today. I'll be going to Walmart in a couple of days, because I just love being in the action. I love talking to the people and getting involved. So you can find your passion. It doesn't have to be specifically in the T-shirt that you're selling or whatever other product that you're selling. But there's always something great about what you're doing, and that's up to you to find out who you are and what you are. I mean, listen, some people are not as personal, they don't love that. Some people love numbers and crunching numbers.
I want to shift towards your giving back and your activism. You know, you mentioned it briefly, and you can tell me much better than I can say it myself. So can you give me a brief overview of, you know, what you're involved in? Why is getting involved so important to you?
In the community, I'm very involved with the Sephardic Community Center. It's one of my big passions. I love the center. I love how it brings the community together. And I could say this: you could be having the worst day, worst morning of your life, getting up, but when you walk into the center and you're greeted by everybody there, and your friends are there, and you're exercising, and you're doing, and whatever may happen, you're gonna forget those troubles that you had before. And maybe also someone there will be able to help you with your problem that you're dealing with and all. So I love the community center, how it brings everybody together. I'm also very involved in AIPAC. To me, it is one of the most important organizations in helping Israel survive, grow, prosper, and protect itself. We need, at this point in time, we still need the U.S. government. We need the funds that they give us, the weapons that they give us, and so forth. And there is no reason for a congressman from Iowa, Nebraska, and go on and on, to help Israel, except for the fact that AIPAC petitions them, brings them to Israel, shows them the beauty of Israel, and makes them love Israel and realize the importance of Israel to the region, to America, and just because it's the right place to do compared to everything. So AIPAC is super important. Involved with UJA. UJA just does so many great things for Jews around the country and around the world. They're one-of-a-kind industry, and they're one-of-a-kind organization that does so much and quietly. They help the center from when it was first founded until today. They give us millions of dollars, as well as they give us advice constantly and all that. When the Syrian immigrants came from Syria back in the 80s, and we didn't know, we weren't professional enough to understand what we had to do to resettle the Syrians. UJA helped us with $25 million and an unbelievable amount of support, advice, education on what we needed to do to resettle people. They understood from resettling the Russians and more. They knew, they were just so much more educated in this aspect than we were, and I love them and all. Involved with a whole bunch of other community and non-community, but something that I'm very, very proud of is my work outside of the community. I'm on several charities outside of the community. One of the most important ones is it used to be called KIDS, K-I-D-S, Kids in Distressed Situations. Today it's called Delivering Good. Delivering Good gives out over $200 million of product to needy families. It could be just poor families that need a product, need clothing, need socks, need underwear, need jackets. They don't have the money or anything. It could be disaster release from a hurricane, a earthquake, or today, the fires in California. They are soliciting, and I'm helping them solicit tons of merchandise to help those people that have been ravaged by these fires. In fact, I saw a few minutes ago, there was someone here, two of the people that work for us, we're giving out 1,000 cribs and beds and bassinets, and then another 1,000 blankets. We're sending that immediately to California to help those people. Very proud of that, and it's super important. And I think also, I go to these places, not to California, but I go to these places. I've been to actually physically give out stuff to people that are in need. It could be toys, it could be table and chair sets or toy boxes or cribs or so forth. I go there. Adrian has gone with me to several places. Every one of my kids has gone with me to several. I mean, we've gone to St. Louis, we've gone to California, we've gone all over to give out and meet these families, all these kids, and see how they're struggling, and see how you can help. And it's heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. And I do this also to create a Kiddush Hashem. Very, very important.
So you personally and Delta, your company, are very involved in giving back to our men and women in uniform. So tell me about your work, your philanthropy with the Army and our country as a whole.
So part of my delivering good and kids in distress work, I actually started giving to the military families. We go to the bases and we give out hundreds. Actually, I go to Fort Bragg every year, which is now called Fort Liberty in North Carolina, and we give out 500 cribs and 500 mattresses, plus other stuff, strollers and other stuff. And I give them a whole little speech on safety, on what it is to keep your kids safe in a crib. And I am very animated. I have pillows and stuff. I start throwing the pillows out of the crib and balloons, and I do a whole thing on how to keep your kids safe in the crib, what you're supposed to do, and all. And I'm in front of 1,000 soldiers and their families when I'm doing this. But I always start off talking about my grandparents coming to America, seeking religious freedom. And I talk about my father's brothers all serving in World War II. And my father-in-law as well, serving in World War II. And when I end my speech I end it two ways. One is I tell them the number one thing that's going to keep your children safe is to make sure every single day you give them a hug and a kiss and you tell them you love them. Keep them close to you. Keep them open, what make them feel comfortable talking to you about what they're going through, and those are the things that are going to keep them safe. And I sort of ended at that time, and then I said, I need another moment of your time. I have to fulfill a promise I made to some soldiers in Israel. And then I say, I was recently on a humanitarian mission to Israel. Rabbi Besser's Chesed trip. So I tie that into a humanitarian mission, which is true. And I say, when I went there, I visited hospitals, orphanages, and so forth. And I saw how the Israelis treat all religions, whether it be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, other, the same respect. They treat every patient with the same exact medical needs. They don't discriminate. They care. And when their equivalent of 911 goes to Hatzalah, goes to a situation, they don't care if they're wearing a skull cap from one religion or a bandana from another. They treat everybody equally. And the soldiers, by the end of this, I'm going to go on a little bit, but the soldiers at the end, they cried to me and they said, all we want is for our families to live in peace.
Beautiful.
And we thank you, America, for all you do for us. And please, when you go back to America, tell your friends, we love you, America, and God bless America.
Wow.
I get such a round of applause from that. And it's funny, our friends at APAC said, they are on a mission to do something like that, to be able to, because these soldiers are potential congressmen at later dates.
That's true.
And all. So while I do this because it's the right thing to do, because I love to do it and all that, but I also have a mission of creating a Kiddush Hashem with everything that I do.
Beautiful. Wow, beautiful. Great speech. What a speech.
Yeah.
Moving.
Yeah. I get very emotional about it. I always also tell them that the soldiers in Israel, are the same like you guys. They're just fighting for their families and to do the right things.
Beautiful.
I try and tie in
You weave it in.
the
Yeah.
weed in that they're the same personality, the same ethical, moral, fighting for the right things.
Why? My question is why is this so important to you? Giving back as a whole. Was there something in your life that inspired you to get involved?
So, my father and my mother were always among very charitable people. They always did whatever they could to help others. My father, even though he wasn't the wealthiest guy, was helping out these employees that we have here. I don't know, there was just something that they instilled in us that was so important to constantly give back. So I guess I learned from my parents about giving back, and then the opportunity started to grow on me.
Right.
And something interesting happened. This is good. This is a good story. So we as Delta were always giving back, and the Kids in Distress situation charity we were giving a lot to. It's my industry charity. We were involved in it. I was on the board, etc. I was on the board of kids at the time. And all of a sudden, Janice Wyman, who heads up the charity, Ashkenaz woman, who really liked me a lot, she comes to me and she says, I want you to be our honoree, our humanitarian of the year at our upcoming dinner. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't think so. She said, Joey, you don't realize I'm doing this because I love you, because I think that this is a phenomenal opportunity for you. Everybody in the industry will be at the dinner. Every retailer from Sears to again, these guys are out of business, but anyway, but Sears, Kmart to Toys R Us, everybody will be there. I'm trying to help you, Joey. I'm telling you, this is very good for you. You're going to be the keynote honoree for the event. I'm like, okay. I turned around, I was a little bit shy about it, and I also at the time, I remember one time asking Rabbi Shammah, I really don't like to talk about what I give because it's supposed to be, he says, no, you have to talk about what you give so you can inspire others. Okay, so she says, who do you want to introduce you at the thing? I said, what do you mean? She says, we want someone to introduce you before you speak. She says, tell me someone and I'll ask them for you. I said, I want the Toys R Us president. She says, who's your number two? I don't have a number two. She says, Joey. I said, I want the Toys R Us president to introduce me. If I want someone there, she says, okay, I'll ask him. She calls me back a couple of days later. He knows you. He thinks very highly of you. He knows your company is a strong family company and he had a lot of good values. He said, no problem. He'll do it. So I have all the Toys R Us buyers at the tables. I have the Sears buyers. Everybody's right there. And he comes up and he does a great introduction about the family. Really spoke about my dad, about my mom, about the whole thing about the family. And then I got up and spoke, and I spoke really about, I spoke a lot about my mom and dad, how they started and taught us to give back. And I spoke about how the difference between, I said, a simple stroller, which we would take for granted, may be the difference between a woman without anything, being able to get outside and take a walk or not. A simple shirt may be the difference for a kid to be able to go to school with a clean shirt and some dignity in it. And things that we take for granted, other people don't have.
That's true.
And this should be a daily part of your life, is giving back. My speech, my thing went over phenomenal. And I would say those are one of the things that propelled me in the industry to do more, but also to get recognition for what we do. Oh, and then fast forward a few years later, my daughter Lorraine is heading up our marketing, and she says, "You're not saying enough about what you do." She turns around and turns it into a whole marketing campaign around it. Delta Gives Back. And that became a strong part of our marketing. On our website, all things, you'll see Delta Gives Back is a big deal. Don't do it because of that.
Exactly.
Do it because you love it, you want to do it, you care about
That's the key.
it.
That's the key.
And then that will help you in other aspects. It's helped me by the way, it's helped me in my life too, across the board. My charitable efforts have helped me with many different opportunities in life. And people want to do for people that do.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the key. Is your intention obviously is because you love giving back, and you see you see the business and the personal benefits in terms of fulfillment, in terms of better relationships with buyers that comes from it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
And all the businesses, the buyers, the licensors, the banks, and so forth, all of them look at us and say they respect what we do and how we do it. And again, it becomes a key character trait of the company and of the people here. And my employees, oh, by the way, we take many of our employees to these events.
Really?
So they see, and I want them to talk about it and within the company and say, the company that you work for cares about other people and gives back, and it's your hard work that's helping us to be able to do this.
And that builds up the culture at the company.
Builds up the culture of the company.
Beautiful. Was there anybody in your life who particularly inspired you, whether it be their success, their philanthropy?
There's a lot of people in our community that I look up to, or I looked up to during their lifetimes. Think of a few, and I'll mention Joe Beta is one of the people that stands out tremendously. Joe is my sister's brother-in-law, so I got to know him a lot and work with him a little bit in Bakur Khalim. I saw how his passion, I mean, unbelievable passion for giving back. At the same time, how he was recognized within his own industry as a leader, and how he built a phenomenal company at the same time that he built Bakur Khalim to an unbelievable organization. So, and then I'll tell you one quick story. I wasn't selling Walmart. I never even went to see Walmart at the time. And he says, Joey, you got to go see Walmart with me. I'm going to get you an appointment. He gets me an appointment through calling one of his contacts, gets me an appointment with the buyer there, and says, I'm going on a private jet there. I have one seat left. He says, it's on the toilet seat. Come with me. And he took me for my first appointment with Walmart.
Wow.
Was then. So here's a guy that had no reason to help this kid, but yet he put himself out and asked his buyer to make contact without my buyer to be able to get me an appointment and get going. So, I mean, that's beside the fact of what he taught me. And then on the plane, he spoke about giving back and so forth, what to do. Special individual. Eddie Catton was he was the first guy to get me to speak at UJA, to give a speech for UJA, and he inspired me to do so, and he was on the Savard Community Center board, and he was a president at one time. Loved him. He was very, very special to me. Another individual that I look up to would be Stanley Shearer. Stanley helped me in my business a lot. He gave me carte blanche to fill up his stores. He says, just write whatever order you feel we need, fill up the stores, and keep filling them up. That's all there is to it. You don't have to ask me. You have to give me an order, or maybe. And then he yelled at me once because I wasn't giving him enough goods. He says I would give him 6s and reorder them a week or so. He says, just give me 36. What do you give me only 6 pieces for? I don't want to overload. I want to do something wrong and overstay. You gave me an opportunity. I didn't want to. And then years later, he helped me get my bank. He was a special individual. I could go on and on. I love him. But I want to talk about someone currently who is the most amazing individual, and that's Morris Bailey. I never saw an individual that is so devoted to helping our community grow and so smart and charismatic and caring and loving. Morris Bailey. This guy has done so much for the community and will continue to do so, and he's a selfless individual, and we're blessed to have him. There are many others. I'm skipping over the dozens and dozens of other people that do so much for the community. In fact, hundreds of people that do. I mean, but let's, because as I go more, I'm going to feel bad I didn't mention that one or the other one or the other one or the other one or the other one.
Right, but yeah.
But more important is to make sure that I have the victors of the world to give back and do things and take over the reins.
Classic Manhattan noises.
Yeah, sorry.
But nah, don't worry. We gotta live with it. But and that's the goal, really, to inspire, people my age, and I think we're doing a great job at that. I really do.
You are.
No,
it's funny.
you. No, I think you are. I don't.
Oh, I am. I don't know. It's funny. I had what's her name? Jessica Sadia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know her.
So I had a meeting one day. She called me up, Jessica Sadia, one time to talk about her and I forgot who the other individual was, how they could do more.
Sure.
And after, like the next day or so, after meeting a couple of times, I said to her, I'm so impressed with how much, you care, you and your friends, and are looking to do and all. And she said, if not us, then who? If not us, then who? And I got such a great feeling to see that your generation is getting ready to take over the reins.
Taking initiative. I mean, that's what it is.
Taking the initiative. I didn't call her, she called me. She told me. So to all of you,
beautiful.
I am happy to know that the community is going to be in good hands with another generation of
Amazing. Leaders,
people that give back, people that do, people that help others grow at the same time.
Amazing. Beautiful. That's a great line. If not us, then who? At Delta, you guys value, number one, the company culture, obviously giving back, but I think paramount to both of those is your employees and your team and the passion you have for having built out an amazing team. Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
You're only as good as your team. And the smartest thing you can do is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, but you have to lead them. Sam and I have built a company, and I should say originally my father and mother, not to forget that, where we have a great leader in our gear stroller business. We have a great leader in our crib business. We have a great leader in our toddler furniture business. We have a great leader in the licensing. So each one of those individuals is heading up that division. But then you look at everybody, from the guy that's packing the boxes in the basement to the one that's building the stroller to every single individual in the company is important to making the company successful. And treating every one of them with the right respect is important, is paramount, not just important, it's paramount. And Sam and I do our best to do that, do our best to treat everybody as family. Got harder and harder as we get bigger, as you don't know everybody and their family and their kids and so forth. So, but we try our best to make sure that even though we've become a much larger company, that we still hold true to those values. And again, everybody deserves your respect.
Beautiful.
And all.
Beautiful. And I think that in the same way, when you're giving back and when you're just conducting yourself as a good, humble, generous person, the intention is because you love doing that and you want to do good, but what comes out of it is, number one, personal fulfillment, and number two, business, increased success in business. I think it's similar
Yes.
with the way you treat your team and your employees, is that you're doing it out of the goodwill of your heart, but the product is a better company culture, better products, a better company, as a whole.
You just said it all. It's so paramount. I'll tell you something else. We have a lot of employees that are here for 20, 30, even 40 years. And those people are loyal to us, and we're loyal to them. And that's a huge deal. You can't buy loyalty like that. I've been blessed to work alongside so many great individuals who have helped Sammy and I grow Delta. One of them that I'm probably closest with and is a strong friend is Louis Hofstein. Louis Hofstein came 40 years ago. He came to my little apartment on Lancaster Avenue, and he's seeking employment. We did an interview. I had a show in a week or two. I needed somebody to take over my sales business for the local stores, and I hired him on the spot. He walks out the door, and Adrian says, "How the hell did you hire that kid?" I said, "I don't know. I need somebody." He says, She looks at me, okay, whatever. Go to the show, and we're building, like I said, we have this furniture. It's a big showroom, and it's a lot of hard work to build a showroom. And my father's there, and with his running things, and my brother and all that, and Louis Hofstein's there with us now, setting up. And he says, my brother comes and looks at me, "How the hell did you hire this kid?" "He's never going to last. What'd you do?" "I don't know. I needed somebody." "All right, whatever." Well, I think it's 40 or 41 years later. Louis Hofstein is my right hand. We travel together. We go together. We spent more nights in the hotel room together because we used to we were always on a budget. We were always sharing rooms together. I love the guy, and he's been a very, very strong part of Delta. And despite what Sammy and Adrian said, they love him also.
40 years ago.
They love him 40 years later.
Wow.
And we got that.
Special.
Oh.
And further feeds into the culture of the company.
My father, when he had his first stores on Bedford-Stuyvesant, he took in a bunch of guys that would be part of gangs today. And he gave them opportunity. And he took a couple of them and he educated them. I'm not talking about a couple like one or two. I'm talking about dozens.
Wow.
Who used to take these guys in with his tough love way. I mean, he was a strong, bull of a personality. Couldn't find a guy stronger than him and louder than him. At the same time, there's no one that hugged like he did, or gave you his love like he did, or gave you his heart and took care of you. So I have designers and engineers that would have been gang members.
Wow.
And a salesperson, and I could go on, and maintenance people that he trained and taught how to do certain things. So they'll do anything for him when he was alive. They would kill for him because he killed for them. So several of them would say, "He's a father I never had. He taught me Jewish values. I never had a family. I never valued a family until your father taught me that." So that's one of the reasons why my father's my hero. Why I talk about him so much.
Wow, he turned the company into an education facility.
Yes. I had one of the individuals, his name is Lydia Torres. Go back when her husband passed away. He paid off her mortgage. Yeah. By the way, he doesn't bother telling Sammy or I. He just does it.
Wow.
Okay, skip through that. About 2 years ago, my HR comes into me and says, "Lydia's father passed away, and he was in Colorado." I go, "Oh, wow." Get her a plane ticket, get her a hotel, do whatever we can but for her to help her out and so forth. Like I never even heard her talk about her father. A little while later, she walks into my office and she says, "Thank you, Joey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I want you to know, I lost my real father 2 years ago." So, you think about the Kiddush Hashem that Louis Shami created with all these individuals. Our responsibility, maybe not on that level, our responsibility is constantly with our employees, with our business partners, with whoever we do business with, is make sure that we're doing the right thing and go above the right thing. The lives that you can change, the things that you can do, and what people see in the Jewish company.
Our show is called Momentum. The podcast
Yeah.
is called Momentum, and we're really the primary goal is to inspire young adults like myself to take small steps that will slowly but surely, it's a snowball effect. It'll increase their momentum for eventual success later in life, both in business and in giving back. And we have our signature question is called the momentum moment, the moment where your business was catching on, or you saw what you were doing and that it was a viable business and that you were being fulfilled by it. You have a story to illustrate a momentum moment?
I think I said a couple of moments.
There's usually not one, I'll tell you.
That's
There's
right.
usually
There isn't.
multiple.
There isn't one. There are numerous momentum moments within every company. I told you about the commercial. How my father did the commercial, created the Love Buggy. Then we did the crib, and then the opportunity when things went sour and there was the big recall. How we turned the big recall into from a nightmare into a dream. So every aspect was just another step in growing the business. You can have that one moment where you have the greatest widget in the world and you'll sell 1 billion of them, but what are you going to do to follow that up? And that's really probably, I guess, when my father said, well, we went from strollers to cribs to eventually we did table and chair sets and toy boxes, and we kept growing around the baby and the child and all. So it's a series of moments, a series of opportunities, and piece them all together, grow on them, and that will bring you to a point like we're at today.
Beautiful. Do you have any advice, tips, final words for young adults looking to put themselves ahead?
Go outside your box. If you're 18 in this community, I will bet that you live in a bubble. You've been to yeshiva your whole life. You're surrounded by community members. You got to get outside your box. And you got to talk to other people. You got to learn from other people. You got to learn other things. And that means on every level. So very important for you to develop a wider network of individuals, of friends, of perspectives, ideas, how people live. Ask people about their life, how they grew up, where they grew up. You saw me a few minutes ago. I was asking this individual where she was from. That works for her. She's from. One was Portuguese, one was Filipino. These people have a story behind them, and you can learn from that story. At the same time, they will feel warm about you if you're willing to ask them about their life. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I love understanding their lives. I love that American dream. How did they get to that American dream, whatever it may be. And that's, I think that there's a lot to learn from everybody else. I do emphasize college education and so forth, but the best education I personally had was traveling with my dad. So we started the company together. Again, it was just a small little company. We didn't even have enough money. We're going to a show in Chicago. We didn't have enough money to even ship the samples, fly there. Maybe we had enough money, but it was better to save money. We literally packed the samples into the car and we drove to Chicago.
Wow.
Back and forth. Then we stayed in like a second-rate hotel far outside where the show was and all that. We did this a couple of times, but traveling with my dad and going overseas with him and selling with him and being with him and seeing how he treated people and seeing how his dynamic and his passion for making things happen was unparalleled. I think Sammy, will tell you the same thing, because Sammy traveled with him to the Orient more often than I did, so he had long extended trips with him, and that education. So why am I saying this? Because I think everybody has to appreciate what our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents did for us, and what you can learn from what they did and how they did it. And if you have the opportunity to spend time and learn from them, do so. They got so much knowledge to share with you.
Incredible closing words. Joey, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Wow. Amazing. You want to show me around?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So when you get off the elevator on our showroom, you're greeted by Sam and Joe Shammy.
Like Step Brothers.
But at the same time, you're greeted by Joe and Sam Shammy as well. Our grandkids. So you got that's Jessica, but these are really old pictures. Time for us to update them, but it's very cute that we have Sam and Joe.
Very cute. Tell me about your awards.
The industry awards, because listen, as I mention all the time, we do a lot of giving back. Of course, my friend over here, Eric Adams. You know, I also have a picture with de Blasio, but I never tell anybody about de Blasio. That would be a whole different story. Scholarship award, things. We got a lot of stuff over here and all. But I wanted, come. Let's walk in. Jewish voice about. You look, aren't they? But if you come into the showroom, something again I'm very, very proud of. You can see we have on this side all our cribs, nursery furniture. In this area, you can find cribs anywhere from $100 to $1,200. You can find every kind of design, whether it be traditional, whether it be modern, eclectic, and so forth. We make every single kind. Nice. And again, we're at Walmart and we're at Restoration Hardware. Everything right. And everything in between kind of finish. But every single crib, it doesn't matter if it's $99 or $1,200, it still has to surpass every safety standard that there is.
Beautiful. Safety is number one.
On this side of the showroom, we have what we call our gear division, which is strollers, walkers, high chairs, that kind of stuff. That's like the industry term is gear. And then here we have our toddler furniture or kids furniture, which is table and chair sets, toy boxes, and so forth. We literally created the toddler bed business and all, which is a big factor of us.
Wow.
And then made in America, the mattress business. We have our own plants in Wisconsin manufacturing mattresses. When you walk into Delta, you're immediately greeted by the founder of the company, or the founders, I should say. My dad, Louis Shammy, and my mom. They built the company together. They were a dynamic duo, and my mother continues to do so much for the community and just inspires me and all. But we have to always remember that people like my dad, parents, grandparents, and so forth, did everything for us. And I never forget that, and I appreciate it. He founded the company, gave it to Sammy and I to continue to grow it. But without his leadership, without his love, without his inspiration, we would not be here today.
It's very true. Amazing. Wow.
Hi, Nassim. What's doing? Caesar. It's my friend Victor. Hi, Joel.
How are you?
How we doing, guys? I want to show them some of the testing stuff. What do we want to show them first? What do
What's
you
the
have
coolest
hooked
thing?
up? What do we have hooked up? This is probably the most interesting one, but he doesn't have it hooked up now. So Nassim was one of the Syrians that came to America in the 1980s. My father hired like 20 of them.
Really?
Gave them jobs, and then helped them all basically move on. In fact, you don't know how many guys with Syrians will stop me in the street and say, "Oh my God, your father
That's crazy.
was the one that helped me, got me going." This simulates a mom wheeling a stroller up and down curbs and back and forth, all the bumps, and we put this on for 300 hours. 300 hours to make sure that nothing bends or breaks or a screw loosens. So this is a very big deal.
That's very cool.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at the amount of testing and abuse that we have to give our products. And the things you can sell for $19.99 or
You would never think. You would never think.
And it doesn't matter the price point. Everything has to go through the same testing. You go up to a curb and you tilt back, and you got the weight of a baby in the stroller. If the tubing is not strong enough, it could bend, or the wheel could break. You'd be surprised how much abuse that is with a 40-pound baby sitting inside of it. So we put a 40-pound weight inside it, and again, we're testing it, I don't know, 1,000 times. I forgot how many times. 8,640 cycles, 8 hours. We're doing this.
Wow.
It's a lot of abuse.
That's rigorous testing.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
This is your worst nightmare, baby, jumping up and down all day long.
Middle of the night.
This is a heavy kid. We do this in the center and all four corners. I think it's 3,000 times.
Wow.
That's a side of that. That's for the side of the when we do the side. The center, which is this one here, you'll see. So the federal standard is this. Our standard, we call it the Delta standard. Nobody does this. Nobody does what we do here. And this is all under my brother's guidance.
That wraps up this episode with Joey Shami. I really hope you enjoyed it. Here are just a few of the lessons that I took away from this conversation. First, build your reputation before you need it. Joey emphasized how trust and relationships are everything in business and in your personal life. Whether it's customers, retailers, suppliers, family members, friends, people do business and overall hang out and interact and gravitate towards people they trust. So start building that today. Second, opportunities come from taking action. From his father's first big commercial to navigating a massive industry recall, Joey showed that the biggest breakthroughs come when you step up and take risks, but more importantly, when you turn setbacks into opportunities to improve. Third, success means giving back. Delta Children isn't just a business, it's not just a company, a corporate entity, it's a force for good, and you can tell that by the way Joey speaks about it. Whether it's donating cribs to military families or funding community programs, Joey's story proves that real success isn't just about making money, it's about making an impact. And last but not least, my number one takeaway from this conversation, and the main thing about Joey that inspires me, who you are matters just as much, if not more, than what you do. Your reputation, your values, how you treat people will shape your opportunities and determine your success in the long run. But to take it out of business even for a second, just do good. Joey proves that you can do well and do good at the same time. Make giving back a core of your personality. Off camera, Joey is just as kind and giving as he seems on camera. And if there's one thing that you should take away from this episode, it's that. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to check out my conversation with Lee M. Cohen, who started an accounting firm. I should say a powerhouse accounting firm, currently employing 140 people. Imagine that. Lee, like Joey, makes giving back a core of his personality and his business. And he tells amazing stories of how that trait alone led him to astronomical success in the business world. To listen to that episode, you can search Momentum Lee Cohen anywhere on Google, YouTube, Spotify, or check out the link in the show notes. And with that said, thank you again for watching. Please be sure to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Again, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Instagram. Rate the show 5 stars. Please share with a friend who you think might derive value from this podcast. And until next time.